today's objective is that we wish to strengthen the ties and the relationship and friendship of UK, Pakistan, and British Pakistanis. The, the idea behind is to integrate the society politically, socially, and economically. So we should take a part in politics and mainstream line. New generation should come forward. And secondly, another objective is that our country needs the foreign investment, and we want to encourage the foreign investments, national and the international investments in our country, in energy, national health, education, and transport. We need to have these investments to have a infrastructure in our country.
Today, as you heard, that first of all, my name is Councillor Mahbub Chowdhury, and I'm from Redbridge. Today's gathering that British Muslim, Pakistani, and also the local community, we want to take them on board. And our aim is that we should integrate into this society, because this is our first home. And this is the only way forward. We can do something for country where we are living, and also for Pakistan.
I'm here on behalf of Pakistan Calling, which is a project launched by the Royal Society of Art and the Samosa website. And what we're doing is building bridges between the UK and Pakistan. Now, helping the British Pakistani community recognise what wonderful things are going on in Pakistan and what people are doing to build the nation of Pakistan, to try and change the negative perceptions of the country and show people that some really inspiring stuff is happening in that country and also amongst British Pakistanis. We're rolling the project out. We've been going since April. We've got short films on the Royal Society of Art website. They're about 5 to 10 minutes long, and they cover all these wonderful stories about Pakistanis doing fantastic things building their country.
My name is Zahid. I'm director of WCOP, and actually our program is why we are here together today, to bring Pakistani soft image, to interact with all the communities and with the mostly where we're living in Britain, to get good relations with Britain and Pakistan plus other communities, to prove that as to interact all the cultures, and we are trying our best at every level to bring the people close together.
We have Zachary Latif with us. Zach, what brings you here tonight, and what do you think about the event tonight, the congregation of overseas Pakistanis here?
I think what brings me here is a celebration of 6 decades of British Pakistani life. It's definitely been an interesting ride, as the Chinese say, may you live in interesting times. And I think as a community, we have grown a lot. We are extraordinarily dynamic. We're engaged. We're passionate. We certainly have a lot of challenges. I think as a collective mindset, we need to be able to transform those challenges into opportunities. And I think what's great about the British Pakistani community is that we have to navigate two identities in a very, not necessarily difficult time, but a very pivotal time for both countries, because I think Britain needs us as gateways to both the East and to the Muslim world. There's a definite interest now in engaging what is the key heartland of the Muslim world, and I think British Pakistanis are perfectly poised for that. If you see our contributions throughout London society, throughout England, and throughout Britain, we have emerged as spokesmen and interlocutors on both British Asian identity, on British Muslim identity, and also regional identity, since so many of our populations are based in Birmingham, in Manchester. We're the most geographically dispersed minority in the country. So I think there's a lot for us to be proud of. There's a lot for us to be excited about, and it's great to see us come here together as a united community, fresh-faced and eager to take on the next 6 decades, inshallah.
So I'm very interested in exchange dialogue, with because we live in London, it's such a big city and such a mix of culture and everything, and of course everything is about towards peace and dialogue. So again, I belong to NGO. I'm a Buddhist, and I know a lot of Muslims, so it's quite interesting, we got a lot of things in common, even it doesn't look like, because all human beings, all of us, we want peace and prosperity and, enjoy our life together. So I'm really looking forward, tonight what is going to happen anyway, but I'm very pleased to be here.
My name is Danish Faisal, and by profession I am an accountant. I run a mid-cap accountancy firm in West London with my brother, and what brought me here tonight is really to take a moment, reflect on the great contribution made by the British Pakistani society over the past 6 decades, and really celebrate the shared success we have built in making sure that we drive British economy forward, we create jobs here, and also make sure that not only we have demonstrate that we have successfully integrated, but make a conscious effort going forward that if there are any shortcomings in integrating in the mainstream British society, we address those issues and really share this journey, and empower the society going forward together.
देखें, ये बड़ी अच्छा ओकेजन है आज। ज़रा कमर रज़ा जो कि मेरे दोस्त भी हैं, पुराने साथी भी हैं, उन्होंने बड़ी हिम्मत से ये ऑर्गेनाइज़ किया है। बेसिकली यहाँ पे पर्पस है पाकिस्तान का इमेज बुलंद करना, पाकिस्तान के जितने भी कम्युनिटी उनको एक दूसरे से करीब लाना और उनमें यूनिटी पैदा करना, जो कि बहुत ज़रूरी है ताकि पाकिस्तान के मफाद के लिए सब काम करें और पाकिस्तान के इमेज को बुलंद करने की कोशिश जो कि मेन चीज़ है। और मैं समझता हूँ कि ये बहुत अच्छी काविश है, इसकी जितनी भी मदद की जाए कम।
Ladies and gents, Sania Qureshi, as usual, the most active, patriotic British Pakistani you can ever meet in London. Sania, what brings you here tonight?
I was invited. I thought the WCOP could offer something quite refreshing to bring the business community, media community, tech community together. And apparently they're launching various chapters across the globe where you have strong diaspora community concentration. And I hope this encourages our community to work more collaboratively, because that's really what we need.
As a launching pad, sort of first
meeting.
Launching
pad, a go-to organization, and where people with projects or ideas can come to for funding, because there's a huge disconnect, as you know, where the diaspora community isn't very organized or coherent. So where there is a need for investment, that needs to be clear, and then identifying key projects that people can invest in that are interested in that space, so that those good ideas or good projects don't go askew.
Today the program is integration of British Pakistanis in UK. So we're going to discuss where we are in regard of integration. So that's how we are gathered here, and we will discuss about.
Welcome you all, ladies and gentlemen, Right Honourable Saida Warsi, His Excellency Wajid Shamsul Hassan, James Khan, Michael Wade, Chairman, Conservative Friends of Pakistan, our Board of Governors, Dr. Joel Rogers, you're most welcome to the event, the first integration dinner to start with today. While we're celebrating the 6 decades of the British Pakistanis in the United Kingdom, and particularly we have the success stories today who have made history in entrepreneurship, in politics, and in business. When I'm going to invite them, I think of Sir Edmund Hillary, the first mountaineer, in fact, the first person in the known history who conquered the tallest mountain, Mount Everest. Sir Edmund Hillary. After lots of years since he conquered the mountain, someone asked Edmund Hillary about his conquest. How did you manage to conquer the tallest mountain in the world? And he said, son, we don't conquer the mountain, we conquer ourselves. When you think of the achievements of those people, this is such a profound expression. We don't conquer mountain, we conquer ourselves. Those people who arrived in early 1950s, the first generation of immigrants who braved an inhospitable weather in an alien land, who didn't know much of English, but at the same time they dug in their heels and then they carved out their identities, and that's what we are taking pride today. Before I say anything further, I'm going to invite Majid Chaudhry.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As the WCOP, we aim to transform the outlook of British Pakistani diaspora and its discourse by bringing to the fore our shared worldview. Our relationship goes back centuries, with the 1947 partition being a mere deadline in the history of subcontinent. The British arrival in India was welcomed by Muslim Mughal court, a fact somehow submerged in the history books. We have over 400 years of common commercial, economic, cultural, and educational traditions, and it's exactly this bond that permeates through our shared values today. The WCOP believes in the capacity and commitment of the diaspora to bring together a joint British-Pakistani enterprise as the driver of economic and socio-cultural transformation. It is our mission today to motivate, mobilize, and inspire the British Pakistani community, especially its youth, to construct a better future for both itself and the wider British community. We must recognize the role of British Pakistanis as an inherent part of British society and work towards creating positive role through a process of increasing integration. The WCOP aims to promote this process by working in partnership with those British institutions whose primary focus is economic and social development. In particular, we look forward to forging a close relationship with the Home Office and the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. We strongly believe that the next 5 to 10 years would be the defining period for British Pakistanis and the role they play as a part of British society. It is therefore imperative for the community leaders to step up and push for cohesion, integration, and synergy. We are conscious that the social separateness of our community structure keeps them away from becoming part of the British mainstream. But we think that British Pakistanis, whilst maintaining their distinct cultural norms, must now open themselves up to become part of modern Britain.
From conception to actuality. I think that's the theme, and it's a wonderful theme to get started. Today we'll be talking lots of statistics, and one of them will be coming from the YouGov in the next speech, or next one. But before that, Majid Chaudhry mentioned about Pakistanis being British. And there's a very interesting survey, which is England and Wales Citizenship Survey, and the results are very interesting. The results show that Pakistanis are the second largest community, and the figure is 69%. 69% of Pakistanis, British Pakistanis, take pride in themselves of being British, while the same ratio in Caucasian British, or the British, is 54%. So interestingly, we are more British than the British themselves. So something to build on further. So I'll be calling Nahi Randhawa, the president of the WCOP United Kingdom. He'll be shedding light on the successes and achievements of the diaspora in the last 6 decades. So over to Mr. Nahi Randhawa.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Personally, and on behalf of WCOP, I would like to welcome you. And it is a great honor and pleasure to be here with you tonight. May I take this opportunity to congratulate His Excellency Wajid Shamsul Hassan. It's the first time in the history of Pakistan that the democratic government has completed its term. Not only that, it also transferred the power to another democratic government peacefully. In this regard, media and the political parties also played a vital role, but it has set the precedent to continue to have a stronger democratic country, which is actually in the interest of all of us. The purpose of this event today is to bring the communities together. And as we know, working together, taking people with you, you achieve a lot more. The objective today is here, the integration and strengthening the relationship between UK, Pakistan, and British Pakistanis. And for that reason, I would like to thank Mr. Michael Wade, who took this great initiative to be here with us tonight, to actually take it to the next level. As we know, we have a shared history. In 1947, the Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah said in a speech that we want to have a good relationship with UK and we want to remain friends. And today, objective of this event is to continue to have that relationship. We wish to strengthen the relationship politically, economically, and socially. There are more than 2 million Muslims in this country. Out of that, 1.2 million are Pakistanis. And majority of these Pakistanis are the Kashmiris. The primary objective of the Muslims from other countries is to be accepted, whereas the primary objective of Kashmiris is to be respected. Britain is a country where Muslims are allowed to practice their religion with complete freedom. And I believe it is the responsibility and the duty of every Muslim to obey the law of this land and the policies of the country, to have the harmony here and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, we want the Britain to be stronger, prosperous, and thriving country for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thanks to Naid Zanzawa, the President, WCOP, the United Kingdom chapter. As I shared earlier, that we'll be sharing lots of statistics. And when I say this, I think of the wise British Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli. It was probably who he said there are 3 types of lies. Lies, white lies, and statistics. Probably he was joking, or probably not. Only a politician could tell. But the statistics we are going to refer are solid statistics. And the organization, courtesy to that organization, YouGov, which is one of the leading organizations in the world, with 21 offices in 21 countries, a highly respected name, and we are grateful that they carried out a landmark survey for this particular event while looking at the British attitudes to the Pakistani diaspora. I have the honor to introduce Dr. Joel Rogers, Academic Director from the YouGov, and he's going to share exciting statistics with you. Over to Joel Rogers.
Right, well, you're actually quite lucky because I was going to throw lots of stats at you and I was going to do a large PowerPoint, but actually that was not something that we ended up doing, so you've got off quite, lightly. Having said that, thank you. It is, this is something that we were very happy to get involved with. I have to say a special thanks to Arif. He's been a real friend to me and also to my team over the last 6 months. We actually joined forces last year over plans to launch a new national polling that we can actually do inside. We can actually do a national polling program inside Pakistan. That's something that I'll come back to shortly because I think there might be some people in the audience who can help us to think about the next steps on that. But first, for the sake of this evening, Arif asked me to run a study on how Britain sees its Pakistani various groups. I know we're short on time, so I'll run through some sort of go through some highlights, and then if you want to talk to me about it afterwards, then do. But on the face of it, it looks like people think that the Pakistani diaspora isn't all that well integrated. Only 30 odd whatever say that the process is going well versus about 55 who say that the opposite is true and actually it's not going very well. We have lots of people who are Tories who say it's not going well. There are lots of people who vote. We have about half of Labour, about half of the Lib Dems who say it's not going very well. It also looks like Brits tend to see this group as less integrated than others such as Africans and Eastern Europeans. But there are some important caveats here. We also asked people if they thought that the offspring of these groups are fitting in well. On this, people are much more positive about Pakistanis, and they are likely to say that the younger generation is doing well on this front. As we know, there are some heavy concerns about the Muslim cultural challenge, but what I've done shows that these views don't apply wholesale. There's a strong belief in the positive integrating effect of longer settlement on the younger generation. There's also an important footnote here in that while Pakistanis are seen as less well integrated than some other groups, they are also seen as better integrated than people from a Muslim background in general. So in my view, I think that this could mean that you are finding ways to some extent to overcome some wider fears about the Muslim cultural challenge per se.
Thank you, Joel. Entrepreneurial and hardworking. Once again, I think it's a very encouraging. These are very encouraging results. And when I opened the event, I talked about the pathbreakers and the pioneers who, in early 1950s and 1960s, arrived in this country and they wrote history. With very limited resources, they were able to support the next generation, which is far more successful. And when we talk about the British Pakistanis who are the success stories, we have Sir Anwar Pervez, who sits at the pinnacle of this success. He is probably one of the biggest names we take pride in being associated with. In 1970s, from a small corner shop to right now, we have a giant in the shape of the Bestway Group. The Bestway Group boasts of more than £3 billion turnover, and we're still counting, and we're talking about per year. More than 5,000 people employed in the United Kingdom, and many thousands more outside the United Kingdom. Today we have the honor to have the Chief Executive from the Bestway Group, Zamir Chowdhury, who has been part of this amazing journey with Sir Anwar Pervez, and he's going to speak on the topic Confessions of a High Achiever while looking at the integration debate. So over to Zamir Chowdhury. Let's give him a big hand.
Your Excellency, Noble Baroness, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm grateful to the World Congress of Overseas Pakistanis for organizing this unique event as a celebration of the contributions of the Pakistani community to the wider British society. As most of you know, the Bestway story began in 1963 as one man's vision when Sir Anwar Pervez opened up his first convenience store in Earl's Court. In 1976, he ventured into the wholesale business. In those days, quite similar to the problems facing many businesses today, Sir Anwar and his partners found it very difficult to get finance. However, his perseverance and hard work paid off, and eventually United Bank Limited loaned him £300,000 for his first wholesale warehouse. The rest, as they say, is history. The group today boasts a portfolio of 62 warehouses covering over 6 million square feet of selling space, offering a range of 25,000 products, serving over 120,000 independent retailers and food service customers nationally, and providing employment to over 5,000 people in the UK. Globally, in 1992, the group purchased a rice mill in Pakistan and later built another one in London. The Basmati rice mill was the first to be imported into the UK. The group's next quantum leap was in 1995, when construction began on our first cement plant in Pakistan. We now have 4 state-of-the-art plants with a combined capacity of 6 million tons per annum and a workforce of 3,000 people. We are also the largest exporters of cement to Afghanistan and India. In 2002, we acquired United Bank Limited. Yes, you heard it right. This was the very same bank who believed in us in the early days and provided us funding to start the business. We wanted to repay their interest, and what better way to do so than to make them part of the group. UBL has a vast network of 1,400 branches in Pakistan with a substantial presence in the Middle East and a subsidiary with 6 branches in the UK. The bank employs over 17,700 people and serves over 4.5 million customers. Since inception, Bestway Group has come a long way and has evolved into a dynamic, diversified, and global business. Today, we're the second largest wholesaler in the UK, the second largest cement producer in Pakistan, and the second largest private bank in Pakistan. We provide employment to over 25,700 people globally. In 2012, the wholesale business won the award for Best Wholesale Service to Retail. In August last year, a White Pearl Rice received the Grace Chase Award for 2012. And in November last year, United Bank was awarded the Best Bank for the Year in Pakistan by the Banker magazine. The success we have achieved is due to the hard work and commitment of our staff and the support and commitment from our suppliers and customers. Our core values of hard work, integrity, fairness in our dealings, and honoring our commitments have played a major part in the group's progress and development. The group does not pay its shareholders any dividend. All the profits are reinvested back into the business to help fuel future growth.
Many thanks, Samir Chowdhury, and what an amazing journey. And here's a word of caution, if there are any bankers sitting in here, that if you would give us Pakistanis loan, someday we could buy your bank back from you. In 1980s, when in the United Kingdom was particularly asked about Pakistan, and particularly a British girl, a blonde girl, she would say, "Oh, the country of Imran Khan." Today, we have another Khan who has become identity of our country. And he's not a playboy. I don't know that. And not a cricketer, but someone who is seriously into the business of money making. And he's not only good at money making himself, but he has vowed to create hundreds of millionaires. And he's so successful in this country that the British government has funded a project of £120 million, and he is leading the project. I think everyone knows already who I'm talking about, James Khan. And James Khan has become identity of Pakistanis in this country, and we're so proud of his achievements. I met James Khan at the Evening Standards evening some few months back, and he has an amazing story to share. Let's listen to James Khan and his amazing journey to become a high achiever in this country.
Assalamu alaikum, Baroness Wasi, His Excellency Shamsul Haq. Can I just say I'm delighted to be here this evening, and what I really wanted to do was really to share with you two observations that I had in relation to this debate this evening. I think the first one is integration, and I think the second one was about the brand of Pakistan. And I think I constantly get asked the question so often that one of the biggest challenges that Pakistan faces today is its brand. And I passionately believe that the brand of Pakistan actually is sitting in this room today. A brand is not created by the country, it's created by the people. And more importantly, it is the actions of those people that create the brand. And I think if we collectively in this room really care about the brand of Pakistan, then we need to start with ourselves. Because everything we do, everything we say, every action that we take is what represents and creates the brand. I think each of us here today and the things that we do and the impact that we make is what goes, to me, a long way in creating the respectability that we so desperately crave for amongst the world. So I think sometimes we try too hard where we're thinking we need marketing and branding and PR. Actually, you know what? I think we can do it much easier by just looking at the things that we do gradually. I know certainly from my perspective, I'm an extremely proud Pakistani. I believe that we were given an opportunity when my parents came here in the early 60s. My father was a factory worker, arrived in 1962 with only one objective and only one passion, and that was to provide his family and his children with a better life than he had in Pakistan. And I'm sure that that is the same sentiment shared by most of us in this room, when at some point our parents had a passion and a desire to do something for us. And when I was growing up, I watched my father literally working 7 days a week, 18 hours a day, with one goal and one objective, is to ensure that his children had a better life than he did. And despite his hard work and his work ethic, I decided from a very early age, from the age of 12, that I wanted to become my own businessman, that I wanted to start my own business. So unlike his desire for me to go to university and have a great education, I left school at the age of 16 because I was so desperate to get out there and try and make it on my own. And despite the fact that my father's passion was so desperate that I would join the family business, I felt that I needed to prove to myself before I took a handout from my father, what could I do for myself? So literally from the age of 16, I went out on my own to start my own business. And there is no question of doubt in my mind today that my absolute success is credited to him and his work ethic that he instilled in me as I was growing up. Because I think the one thing that we as a community represent is honesty, integrity, and hard work. I think in business there is no magical formula. There is no magical success. I think people look at individuals around the room and say, oh my God, he has done amazingly well. I think for some reason you all believe that we have some magic dust that we sprinkle. And the truth of the matter is, there is no magic dust. What we have is a desire and a determination to work harder than the next guy, to make more effort than the next guy. And it's not just about making money, but it's also the impact that we can have to others around us, whether it's our family, our community, and Britain itself. Yes, of course, I think it's important to do something for our community, but actually, I also think we mustn't forget the allegiance that we have to Britain, because ultimately, it is the opportunity that this country has provided to us that's made us who we are today. And that's why I think I was recently, about 7-8 months ago, approached by the UK government because they were very concerned about the current state of young people in this country, not just Asians, English, but young people across the board. Today, we have over 1 million young people out of work. And one of the things that causes concern for me is those 1 million people today are the best educated, unemployed workforce we've ever had before. Every young person today is determined to go to university. The problem is we don't have enough jobs out there. And they wanted to create a program called Startup Loans, and they approached me and said, as somebody that young people identify with, and because of your time on Dragon's Den, we'd like you to head this particular project to encourage young people not to find a job, but to create their own job, to be able to start their own business. And I launched a campaign called Startup Loans, and they kindly gave me £117 million to invest in young people, which for me was quite exciting because I've spent my time in Dragon's Den where people have these crazy ideas. The one thing they don't have is money. Here I had somebody with an amazing idea, but also came with it 117 million. So clearly, the only phrase I could think of, and for those reasons, Mr. Cameron, I'm in. So I accepted the opportunity and launched Startup Loans 7 months ago. And literally in 7 months, I've started 5,500 businesses across the UK, creating nearly 7,000 jobs. My current run rate is we start 46 new businesses every single day. 40% of the people that I back are women, which I'm incredibly proud of, because the dynamics around the country is there's not enough women who I think are encouraged to get into entrepreneurship and start their own businesses. So Startup Loans, I think, absolutely is making a massive impact into the British economy. The government recently did a survey to look at, for each pound that we invest through Startup Loans, the economic impact of that pound is £4.81. So my 117 million converts to over 530 million to the UK economy because of the social impact that we create, the revenues we generate, the taxation that we create, and the impact to society. But most importantly to me, the 2 or 3 qualities that have made a difference is respect, integrity, professionalism, honesty. I think if we can enhance those qualities as a community, we will get the respect that we absolutely deserve. And most importantly to me, that will become the brand of Pakistan, and certainly a brand that I would be proud to be associated with. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, James. What an incredible story. Aspirations to become an entrepreneur at the age of 12. Amazing. My elder son is 11, and I wonder if he could ever think in the next 10 years of doing it. Now, the next speaker I'm going to invite is someone I tried to convince 6 months back, and I said, let's tango. And he said, oh, I only tango with women. But somehow I agreed him getting into a tango, and how I did that, how I managed it, it's a secret. And there's another secret which he asked me not to share with you, so you all might, so I'm not sharing this with you. He is a relative of the father of Pakistan, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He belongs to the family, and that family migrated hundreds of years ago, and he has successfully integrated in the country, so you can't tell anymore that he is from that family. this event of today has been made possible with his active collaboration and his organization's active collaboration, which is the Conservative Friends of Pakistan. And I'm requesting Michael Wade, Chairman, Conservative Friends of Pakistan, to come over and share.
Thank you very much for that very kind introduction and for breaking your promise. Your Excellency, President, Co-Chairman, fellow speakers, Baroness Farsi, and guests here this evening, thank you very much indeed for inviting me to come and be with you and speak. And I will attempt to take through a speech on integration as I see it. And there are bits which are a bit controversial, and there are bits which you'll wholly agree with. But that's the whole point about integration. It's about a free debate. So may I start by just going through my words, and please, I hope I don't bore you too much. But with over 2 million immigrants settling in the UK over the past 10 years, an estimated 1.2 million Pakistanis, already UK citizens, as you know, the concerns of the indigenous population are often expressed with alarm, and they make demands for a curtailment of further immigration into the UK. You know this. An organisation called British Future found that 1 in 3 Britons believe that division within society is highlighted by tensions between immigrants and the indigenous population. Now, many British Pakistanis themselves express concern for the open door policy of the Labour government from 1997. And despite your President's remarks, I would also suggest that the current government policy must be right in trying to continue to reduce the intake of immigrants into the UK as part of the objective of enhanced living standards and social harmony. For centuries, Britain has accepted and welcomed immigrants across the world. These citizens have enriched our society, both economically and culturally. Over the generations, diverse peoples have integrated within our communities and have achieved their own aspirations. And at a time of economic stress, combined with large numbers of immigrants, we must work together ever more in examining the current issues and take solutions to barriers that might exist to arrest successful integration into British society. Now, we all have a role to play, and sometimes the relevant topics are a challenge to admit and address. And so a spirit of honest tolerance and what I call a two-way street are one of the first essential ingredients for integration. A respect and a sense of fairness need to prevail. David Cameron, as long ago as 2007, said, "We wouldn't be half the country we are without immigration, and we can only live together if there is proper integration."
Many thanks, Michael. Hopefully you converted a bit of 33% present here who would never vote for a Conservative. It was Kuldip Nayar who was High Commissioner, an Indian High Commissioner in the UK then. And the British Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, spoke to him and asked him that how India stayed together throughout the centuries with so many differences. And he answered that, in fact, in India, we don't believe in black and white. We believe there is another area as well, which is gray, and we keep on expanding that area. And that's how we stick together. While we're talking about the High Commissioner, we have someone present over here who wears several hats. He is one of the longest, or probably is the longest serving High Commissioner of Pakistan to the United Kingdom. And not only that, he is an analyst, he is a columnist, a writer, a think tanker, someone who has taught the generations, in fact, in terms of politics and democracy. And he has been staying in the trenches in the quest of democracy And I'm sure he must be a very happy man while looking at the first civilian transition of the government. I'm talking about the High Commissioner of Pakistan, Mr. Wajid Shamsul Hassan, His Excellency. He might be leaving the office in the next few weeks or few months, but we're sure that he's leaving a wonderful legacy behind it. We requested him to share the stage today and comment as a diplomat and as an analyst how he feels about the debate on integration. So let's give him a big hand. His Excellency Wajid Shamsul Hassan.
Very kind of you for all the compliments that you bestowed on me. A humble soul, not deserving all that. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Baroness Warsi, who is of course a cabinet minister and especially looking after us. Mr. James Khan, a success story. Mr. Zamir Chaudhry, another success story from Pakistan. Members and office bearers of World Congress for Overseas Pakistanis. It is indeed a pleasure for me to be here with you. And I know you have heard so many speeches and you have heard so many success stories that I need not emphasize on that, because I believe that performance speaks louder than words. Performance by people who are sitting here, by entrepreneurs of dynamism, has brought us fame and made us proud of them. And I'm sure they have very deep and profound interest in Pakistan's future. They're contributing immensely towards that. As Malik Saab said, and as well President Randhawa said earlier, that we have had a transition of democracy to democracy. Indeed, Malik Saab, for me, it was the finest moment in my life to see democracy transferred to democratic government. Because all my life, since 1961, I have been a journalist. I have been fighting against military dictators. I've been writing against them. And my own life ambition was that we should have democracy, because as Prime Minister, new Prime Minister, Mohammad Nawaz Sharif said the other day in the Parliament, and that is the word which I often wrote in my articles, that democracy and Pakistan are synonymous. And indeed, I believe in that. And I have full confidence that having traveled much far, although through difficult times and battling through a sea of problems, we have entered into a phase where there will be a consolidation of democracy. And inshallah, the dream of the founder of Pakistan, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, to make Pakistan a modern democracy, a progressive democracy, a democracy in which politics would have no room for any sort of religious involvement. Politics in which there will be, he used to say, one of his speeches said, that I will not have a Pakistan in which poor will become poorer and rich will become richer. That was sort of egalitarian society he had in mind before seeking Pakistan's establishment. And I think we all committed to that. I've been world over, probably more than 50 countries, but London and United Kingdom I have found to be the place where I've seen that the society is extremely tolerant. Not only the most tolerant that you can see anywhere in the world, you find it here. When our Pakistani brothers and sisters came, they came from villages straight to London, when they did not even spoke a single word of English, but yet they found their place here. This was the opportunity that this country offered them, and this is the opportunity that we all are availing here.
someone asked someone that what's the difference between the country of birth and the country of adoption. And someone replied that this is the difference between an arranged marriage and between a love marriage. So probably someone meant that the country of adoption is a love marriage because that's the country of choice. But as even in love marriage, sometimes we have to suffer due to our choice. So sometimes this happens in the country of adoption as well. Those people who adopted this country several decades back, some of them really stood out and they made history. And the next speaker is the one, in fact, who's one of them. She takes pride in being the daughter of a mill worker who arrived in the first wave of immigrants. And then she was the one who stood out and made to the echelon of power, what we say. She was a woman who became the chairman of the Conservative Party and the first female cabinet minister, and a matter of pride for all us Pakistanis. I have the honor to invite Right Honorable Baroness Warsi, Minister of Commonwealth Office and Communities. Let's all welcome Baroness Warsi.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and अस्सलाम वालेकुम. जब भाई ने मेरी इंट्रोडक्शन शुरू की तो मैंने कहा या तो ये बहुत बड़ी अजीब कहानी है या बहुत बुरी जोक है. Like either way, I don't know where this introduction is going, but thank you very much for that incredibly warm welcome. And can I also start by apologizing? I know that you were expecting somebody taller. I know that you were expecting somebody slimmer. I know that you were expecting somebody much more powerful, but unfortunately the Home Secretary has been delayed back in her department and will not be with you today. And when I broke this news to Saeed Qamar Razabai, he said, oh, they're not going to be happy, you know. We were expecting somebody slimmer, taller, more powerful. And I said, well, मैं उनकी अपनी हूँ, माफ़ कर देंगे. They'll accept me. So thank you very much for taking me as your second prize and for accepting me as your alternative speaker. But before I spoke and before I prepared what I was going to speak, I was in the car on the way over and I rang my Abu Jan and I said, you know, I haven't got a speech for tonight and I'm going to have to fill in and do the big speech. And he said, well, what's the title of it? And I said, well, the title of it is Confessions of a Pathbreaker. And he says, what does that mean? Does it mean jidhar jandi, khadde banandi? And I went, well, I suppose in a way that's what I do in politics. So I'm going to try and kind of explain to you, okay, what are the kind of khadde that I made along the way, why I made them, and I hope that that's really what makes me as a person. I want to probably tell you a little bit of my story. We've heard some fantastic inspirational stories today from Zamir Bhai, James. We're incredibly proud of what you do, and it was delight to hear your story. But why politics? And people say to me, why did you enter politics? And I say, I do politics so that my children don't have to. And I say that honestly and seriously because I tell you, politics isn't a great world. It is pretty hard. You have your whole life raked over and it can be pretty soul destroying on some incredibly hard days, and we have to work average 90 hours a week. So why do politics? Because I think those people who come to politics come with a sincere belief that they can make things better. And I think there is one thing we as British Pakistanis, as British Muslims can accept and say, that there is certainly work that needs to be done to create a better sense of understanding between our country and our faith. And I think it was that really inspired me to get involved in politics, because I knew that there was a better way and that we needed to work hard despite the challenges to create that better way. And that journey in politics hasn't been easy. I remember when I stood as a parliamentary candidate in 2005, I now look back and think, "Main kya janti thi siyasat ke bare mein?" I stood up and I thought, right, I want to be a member of parliament. And I stood as a candidate. And I remember that when I used to go out and canvass, and I used to canvass in an area called Murfield, which was a pretty white British area, had always returned 3 Conservative councillors, what I would consider to be where I would get my solid vote. And I remember when I knocked on the door, People would say, yes, we know you're born in Dewsbury, we know you're raised in Dewsbury, we know you write for the local paper, we know you're a solicitor on the high street, we know you're a local lass, but actually this was how it was put. I can't vote for a Paki. And that was how bluntly it was put. And actually in 2005, it was a tragedy that Dewsbury ended up with the largest British National Party vote anywhere in the country. Nearly 6,000 people in the town where I was born and raised voted for the BNP. The beauty of this country is that you can have it all. That you can be British, you can be Muslim, you can be of Pakistani origin, you can be female, you can be working class, you can be a mother, you can be a daughter, and that you can do all of that and still serve at the cabinet table. And it probably... And it takes me back really to those words. I remember actually when I was appointed, it's very interesting when you're appointed to the cabinet. You called in, the Prime Minister sits you down, he tells you what he's going to ask you to do, and he said to me, Saida, I'd like you to become a co-chairman of the Conservative Party, and I'd like you to be Minister without portfolio. I then came out and I thought, I don't know what job he's given me. I'm not quite sure what he's expecting me to do. And before I ring my dad, I better find out, because my dad's going to say, what kind of a job is that? He doesn't even have a job description. So I looked it up, and I had a little Google, and I realized that in 1997, Tony Blair appointed a one minister without portfolio. You may recall it was a one Peter Mandelson. And I remember thinking, I may have a job without a job description, but by the end of that government, Peter was doing every job in cabinet. So I still have something to aspire to and move on to. And can I finally end on something which always remains in my mind, and it's a phrase that my father says. And he always says, कि जिस दरख्त की जड़ें मजबूत नहीं होती, उस पे फल नहीं लगता. And I think we should always remember कि फल तो हमें यहाँ पे हमारे मुल्क में लगा है, लेकिन हमारी जड़ें जो हैं उनको भी मजबूत होना चाहिए. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Baroness Warsi. And I must admit कि मेरी बेगम समेत आपने बहुत सी ख़वातीन ख़राब कर दी हैं. And the rest is history. Ladies and gentlemen, the best news, the last speaker of the event, for a vote of thanks, a person who is an inspiration behind this entire organization, behind this activity today, the World Congress of Overseas Pakistanis, co-chairman of World Congress of Overseas Pakistani, Saeed Qamar Raza. Let's give him a big hand.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good evening. As the co-chairman of the World Congress of Overseas Pakistanis, I'm here to offer my heartfelt gratitude for your patience, presence, and value addition to the first integration dinner organized today. After listening to the valuable discourse, I'm feeling cornered like the teenager who sometimes feels that all the good girls are taken or married. I see most of the valuable stuff has been said, which is good for you, as I don't have to repeat the most of it. First of all, I'm deeply touched by insightful words of previous speakers. They amazingly encapsulated the gist of the evening by touching hearts with so many thoughtful points. Michael Wade's interpretation of conservatives' vision of integration is also quite intriguing, as he was okayed by 10 Downing Street, so in a way we can say it is official slice of conservative mind. Similarly, it was so inspiring listening to the confession of pathbreakers, the pioneers who dared the odds like Baroness Warsi, who became the first Muslim female cabinet minister, Sir Anwar Pervez and Zamir Chaudhry, who created the empire of Bestway, James Khan of the Himalayan Broad Show, who has become icon of entrepreneurship by transcending boundaries of color, creed, and ethnicity. I'm grateful to Joel Roger from YouGov, who shared so many exciting stats with us while peeping into the smoke screen of perceptions behind the stereotype. Today, we all witnessed this evening that Britain's relationship with Pakistan is here to stay. I have heard from Prime Minister David Cameron several times that what happens in Pakistan matters to Britain, and he will stand by Pakistan as it addresses the challenges it faces. I particularly loved when he asserted that Pakistan's enemy is our enemy. It was music to the ear. After his controversial 2010 statement in India, we are glad we were able to sort out the misconception, and I pay homage to all community leaders, politicians, and diplomats who turned things around. I think particularly credit go to Baroness Saida Warsi. People including me came to the UK in search of greener pastures. As put in the paper in your hands, authored by Dr. Arif Malik and Muhammad Rizwan, they say we have not heard much of British dreams in comparison to much talked about American dreams. However, I must say I had dreams, and most of them got fulfilled owing to the Great Britain, my homeland and country of my choice. Today I feel I could fight for this country, called the United Kingdom, offer my time, money, and passion, and even life if it demands so, as this is the country of my future generation. I will be ending my speech on Robert Browning's immortal words, who said, "The best is yet to be, the last of life for which the first was made." We hope the best is yet to be for the Pakistani diaspora in the UK when we continue conquering the odds, evolve in integration and diversity, and keep thriving in the amazing country called United Kingdom. Once again, I'm thankful to all of you. You spare your time and for this delay. God bless you all.
The best is yet to be. What an amazing message. And it comes to an end, but I will take only 3-4 minutes. From our Board of Governors and Chairman, the Co-Chairman and the Board of Governors, we will be presenting mementos to our speakers.
We have Saida Warsi with us. Saida, how did you feel tonight and what did you make of the evening?
Well, it's a fantastic evening. It's an opportunity to be inspired. We heard from James Khan, we heard his story, we heard from Zamir Chowdhury.
We had you.
You had me, and I hope in my own way I kind of inspired a few people as well. But I think
and you sounded different as well. Sorry to cut you. You sounded different as well. As you mentioned, other people sounded different tonight.
I think what was important today was really to send out a message that whatever the challenges there are in terms of the image of Muslims or indeed British Pakistanis, that there are some incredibly fantastic success stories, and we really need to focus on the positive and inspire young British Pakistanis to reach for the sky, because they can in this country achieve what they want to achieve.